How cool, brothers and sisters. Welcome to AquaBrain TV. On this show, we chat Hedge Witchery with Sasha Sigetic. Coming to us from Appalachia, Ohio. You can find Sasha at mother.of.wolves.1111 on Instagram. That's mother.of.wolves.1111 on Instagram. Just a reminder, we are not offering any medical advice of any kind here on AquaBrain TV. Sasha, how are you? It's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a little while. I'm good. How are you?
Well, good. Thanks for coming back on. So give me an update on your goats and your garden.
There's a lot of goats. Probably about 30 or so goats in my barn, a lot of which are meat goats that will go to the sooner or later. And then some milky mamas. I've got 3 Great Pyrenees pups. There was a little bit of a surprise litter that happened, nice. But cute and doing well. The garden is pretty overrun and weedy because grad school keeps me really busy right now. So I did plant like 75 strawberries and 25 asparagus in the spring, which thankfully they're perennials and they can sort of hold their own. Yeah. I don't have to baby them as much, which is why I love perennials. But the herb garden is doing all right, holding steady. There's a couple different root plants, parts of the plants that I want to use that I'm sort of waiting until the leaves die back so that I can harvest the root.
And what are those?
Specifically marshmallow. This is the second or third year that it's been in the ground, and it's doing really well. It's sort of crowding out some of the blue berain I have, which I found out from other herbalist friends is kind of hard to grow, and they've had a lot of trouble growing it. So the fact that it's doing well in my space, I kind of want to give it as much of a head start in space as possible. But mostly marshmallow. I suppose my comfrey's getting pretty big, so I could probably do some comfrey root harvest too. I did Ella campaign last year, which is a huge plant. And I've got a couple of those I could probably harvest as well. Yeah, the great thing about fall is all that energy from the plant is moving back down into the root for winter. That's when you harvest the root, is when all that energy is sort of stored down in the root and it's most potent.
Gotcha. Well, I noticed you mentioned comfrey. I got some comfrey. I got some true comfrey growing in my garden. What do you use the comfrey root for?
It's great for, it helps cells reproduce quickly. So if you've got an injury, like a broken bone or a cut, it's especially good for broken bones. You can make comfrey oil or a comfrey compress and put that on the broken bone or strain. Cuts that are not puncture wounds, because it will actually help heal so fast that you can, if you cover over the top of that puncture wound before the inside has fully healed, sort of like from the bottom up, you can end up with an abscess or something like that. Right, because it'll cause skin to heal pretty quickly. But I like to put it in, I like to make it into an oil and put it in my face cream that I make. Okay. It's also, because it's so mucilaginous, the leaves, if you've ever broken it open, then the juices inside are kind of gooey. Yeah. That and the root both are pretty mucilaginous. So it's pretty good in cough syrup too.
Just a reminder, we are not offering any medical advice of any kind here on AquaBrain TV.
It'll help sort of line your stomach. I like to pair it with slippery elm for that reason, which is another really great mucilaginous herb. A lot of folks don't really realize that there are plenty of trees that can be used as herbs too. And that's one thing I love about where I live, is because we have the most biologically diverse deciduous forest in the world here in Appalachia. There's so many trees and so many herbs. We have the highest concentration of medicinal herbs in the world. So it's kind of like an herbalist's paradise, really.
Yeah, I was going to say a little bit of a paradise.
Yeah, slippery elm is fantastic. The inner bark of that is really mucilaginous. Great for any sort of like adding moisture, like to lung issues if you've got a really bad cough, or to help stomach lining and intestinal tract. White oak is a fantastic tree herb. It's great for gum repair specifically. I've made mouthwash with a little bit of white oak tincture in it as well, for folks that maybe have a little bit of gum disease or receding gums. And then there's white willow, obviously, where we get aspirin from, but it's good for headaches. Wild cherry bark. That's why so many cough syrups originally tasted like cherry, because they had bark. Yeah, so when you're taking Dimetapp or Robitussin and it's the cherry flavor, that harkens back to people actually using the inner bark of wild cherry to help with coughs.
Fascinating. Yeah, I know like a pine needle tea is supposed to be a good thing as well. As long as it's not ponderosa, I guess. Or what's the
I have ponderosa pine out here anyway.
No, what is it? Not ponderosa. What's the lodgepole? What do they call that?
There's lodgepole pine out by you guys. Or
Lodgepole pine. There's one pine tree that's not recommended as far as I've heard, but I know that you can just go out and just harvest some pine needles and have a tea.
I did that while I was camping in Dolly Sods last year, in fact. Yeah, white pine is especially tasty, but pretty much any of them around here, they're really high in vitamin C, which is nice.
Oh, gotcha.
And another thing that you can find right now that's really high in vitamin C, another one of those winter harvests, especially after frost hits, is rose hips. So we've got a lot of multiflora rose, which is actually an invasive species here, but at least it produces medicine. So you can help the ecosystem by collecting all of its seeds, which are the rose hips. And they're actually really tasty, but those folks dry them and use them for tea over winter, or you can make rose hip syrup out of them, which is also pretty tasty. A lot like you make elderberry syrup.
Yeah, I was going to bring up elderberry because I've heard that that's allegedly pretty good at boosting the immune system.
It's specifically good for colds and flus. Okay. The body fight those off.
So is that something that you're able to harvest out where you're at?
If the birds don't get them first, I honestly go for elderflower because it's just as good. And there's no real worry of a lot of you have to take the stem off of the elderberries because that part can be a little toxic. It's not going to kill you, but it's supposed to be taken off. But elderflower is pretty easy, thankfully, and the birds aren't interested in them like they are the elderberries, so I can actually get to them. Gotcha. And it tastes really good too. I've actually been using some elderflower tincture to mix with some gin as a fancy drink.
Oh, easy. Nice. You make your own gin out there? I mean, never mind.
No, I'm lucky enough that we've got West End Cider House and Distillery. They actually have made a elder spirits gin. So my friend's band, the Hill Spirits, they play old-timey Appalachian music. They
I love that stuff.
Yes, it's very good. They're playing Saturday. I'm very excited. They partnered with United Plant Savers, which the first one was here in Rutland, about 15 minutes from where I live. And it's a Goldenseal Sanctuary. So they basically bought up a ton of strip mine land to keep it safe because there was so much Goldenseal and ginseng and all of these high dollar non-timber forest products that you ever hear anyone in Appalachia, a lot of folks say they go sangin'. That's you're going out to look for ginseng, but it's hundreds of dollars per pound, right?
Wow.
People poach it and people go onto other people's properties or in state forests and national forests and dig it unsustainably. So United Plant Savers is a sanctuary where they actually cultivate and steward that wild plant. And the Hill Spirits partnered with United Plant Savers and West End Distillery to make an elder spirits gin. It's got local cedar, which is it's a local juniper, ginseng, and elderberries, I believe. He also makes one that has spice bush in it as well, which is fancy. It's not necessarily quite medicinal just so much as it's Appalachian allspice. So you can just grind it up and use it like allspice, and it's pretty delicious.
Wow.
So
Fascinating.
Yeah, we're lucky here. This is why I would be hard pressed to leave this area when there's so much free bounty.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. I think last time we talked, you talked about, and I don't know if it was a sanctuary, but it was another like maybe it was a medicine school or something that was out there.
My friend Katie Crabb runs the Appalachian School of Herbal Medicine, I believe is what it's called. Firefly or Wildfire Herbs is her company.
Okay.
She's pretty, yeah, we have so many herbalists. There's especially like all in and around United Plant Savers. It's been called Herb Alley.
Okay.
So it's definitely a high concentration. If there's like two things you almost can't, you can, but you can't do here. It's like we have got so many midwives and so many herbalists that it's like we need to start exporting them to other places, but
right.
to leave because the community is awesome.
Yeah. So you guys are all sharing, sharing and learning from each other. And
Absolutely. Yeah. If I ever have a question, I can pretty much shoot one of them an email or a text. Be like, hey, I was thinking about using this for this, or what do you think of this herb, or do you have any of this tincture? And yeah, I can easily purchase stuff from another herbalist if I don't have it, which it made me very sad this year. I was so busy with grad school and farming that I didn't actually get to make any medicine, but I generally, when I make tinctures, I make half gallon to a full gallon at a time because you can use them for more than a year as long as they're stored properly.
yeah.
So I had backups of a lot of stuff, thankfully, but there's a couple that I ran out of. But thankfully, like I said, there's so many herbalists here, I was able to get what I needed.
So what, have you ever done any lemon balm tincture?
Oh, one of my favorites. That's one that I still need to make because my plants are still going strong. And it's one that I do take regularly.
And what do you take that for? Again, we're not giving any medical advice here on AquaBrain. What do you use?
It's a nervine, so it helps relax and sort of calm the nervous system, but it's also specifically antiviral for herpes simplex viruses. So I've gotten fever blisters since I was a baby. Somebody kissed me as a baby when I was little, and I've had them my whole life. So anytime I'm stressed out or don't get enough sleep, I'm actually just recovering from one right now. But my friend Hannah, they actually make an amazing fever blister balm, and the base of it is lemon balm infused oil with a couple other really potent essential oils that are specifically antiviral. St. John's wort is another one that's very good for that specifically, that I've taken in tincture form. A lot of people know it because it sort of helps your body absorb more sunlight and vitamin D, which is enhancer and booster. So over winter, a lot of folks take that, but as a result, you become more sensitive to sun, and I live with the sunburn because I'm pale anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, St. John's wort's also very good at killing retroviruses specifically.
So the lemon balm, do you apply it? Is it like a topical? Is it something you take?
You can take it internally. You can apply it topically. It burns like hell, but it dries it out fast.
It's so fascinating. I'm so glad I asked.
Yeah, it's just good to take daily in general because of how calming and gentle it really is. Lemon balm tea is really nice on a daily basis, but if you sort of really want to relax and have a good sleep, an Epsom salt bath with like a half a shot of lemon balm tincture and you'll be out.
Wow. Now what about yarrow? What about like a yarrow tincture? You ever do anything with that?
That's one in like a daily one that I've made in like an immune boosting combo with echinacea, reishi, and usnea. Yarrow is really antibacterial. I love it mostly just like if I ever get an injury. It's also a really good blood stop.
Oh yeah.
Powdered form, or just if you grab some and you chew it up and stick it on an injury, it'll help disinfect and stop it from bleeding, as well comfrey and cayenne too. But yarrow, it's, so my friend Talcon, who's also an herbalist and hedge witch, she's put it in some of her, I guess what I would call, a lot of what she makes is very potion-like too, because there's sort of like a lot of esoteric and archetypal properties of herbs too. And yarrow is a very protecting herb. So she'll put it in her like protect your heart potion as well. But it's a good protector. So I like it in my immune tincture combo.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring up the heart. I've been actually really focusing on my heart, and meditating on my heart, and it's been uplifting. I mean, just like crazy, like, I mean, these times are just hectic, who you're listening to and what, it can get a lot of fear and stuff. And it's like, I've just been turning, I wasn't a big meditator or prayer or anything like that. I was never really my scene. I was more into just getting high and doing, smoking some weed and just chilling, or whatever. And moving to Idaho now, it's like, well, can't do that anymore legally. So I'm like, gotta kind of, plus I got the family and stuff. I got to be a little bit more responsible these days. But yeah, man, I found this meditation, this heartfulness meditation, and it's been really great. To sit around, and they've actually have there's a cleaning. Now this is not really, we've kind of gone out of the hedge witchery and the using plants and stuff, but there's like a cleaning process where you can actually like clean impressions and stuff in the afternoon, where you just kind of just mentally make I think it's called I know it's like it's an Indian thing. So it's like a sankalpa, I think is what they call it, but where you are making these, like, you're just saying, hey, this stuff is leaving my body. It's leaving my system in the form of smoke, and it's just, anyway, I'm glad you brought that up, because I was like, well, if I get an opportunity, I'm definitely gonna mention it, because it's definitely changed my outlook on hectic times. So
that's great. Yeah. Other really good heart herbs now, Hawthorne is one too. So that's leaves, berries, and flowers. Now, don't use Hawthorne if you're on any other sort of blood pressure, blood heart medication, but that and violet and yarrow, they're all really good. Yeah, like yarrow is very heart protecting. Hawthorne is, and rose is as well. They're all just really good heart herbs in general. It's funny. So there is this lovely podcast called Medicine Stories, and they talk about herbs and rewilding humans in a lot of ways. There's a really fun
rewilding humans. I love that concept.
Yeah.
I don't really know what it is, but it sounds awesome.
And wisdom that we all really have. There's a fun quiz on there, like, what herb are you? And it was funny. I took it, and I'm a fairly tall person, and I expected to be some like statuesque tall herb, and I ended up being a violet, which is just here. It's just this tiny little heart-shaped leaf, and these tiny little, got purple, white, and yellow violets here. They're all edible. They don't have much taste, but they're awfully pretty. And I told my friend Talcon, I was like, I'm a violet? And she's like, oh yeah, all heart and no thorns. And I was like, oh, okay. But so with Hawthorne and rose, you've got the heart opening, but you've also got the protection of those thorns that sort of like, especially if you need to like open your heart and sort of maintain healthy boundaries, that would be very much Hawthorne and rose, like that sort of esoteric, energetic end of the herb, rather than just strictly what the chemicals are doing in your body.
Gotcha. That's Hawthorne. We're essentially in the desert here, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's an old lake bed, I guess. Apparently Lake Idaho, I guess, was here. So Hey, sweetie, you want to go and you want to go in your room and play?
Daddy, is it okay now? I could watch the iPad.
If you would like to, yeah, we're into the show. Thank you for asking. Okay. All right. I love you. See, I don't even edit this stuff out anymore. Enjoy.
No, that's
Yeah, what was I gonna say? Let's see. I guess that's a good segue. So foraging. So you do a lot of foraging then, and what do you recommend if people are gonna go out and forage? Because you talked about people essentially poaching or over foraging. What would you suggest to somebody that's gonna go out?
first of all, definitely know your plant identification. You don't want to end up with water hemlock when you wanted wild carrot, because that'll kill you. So a really good plant ID app. I don't have a specific one. Maybe iNaturalist actually is fairly good, because it's sort of citizen scientists correlated from a lot of different information and pictures that people are taking. And only take maybe about 10% of a stand, of a healthy stand. Make sure you're on, make sure you're legally allowed to do so, that you're not on, property you're not supposed to be on. And don't harvest from roadsides, as off the road's edge a bit, especially like if it's uphill, that's better, because think about your watershed, like are chemicals coming down from a roadway, rinsing off the roadway and into where I'm harvesting. So generally above a roadside is not too bad, especially if it's above the level of where the exhaust is sort of spitting out onto plants, but definitely not downhill from a roadside.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. You want to avoid the exhaust and stuff. Are there a lot of public lands out where you are that you can go to, or?
The Wayne National Forest is huge here. You can hike around, and a lot of folks go mushroom hunting. Some people hunt for ramps and other things like that. I don't really, because I have land of my own and I've got friends with land, so I'm lucky in that aspect. And I think there are, in different states, there are different species that are protected, and you would have to check with each state or national laws on what you can and can't do, what you can and can't take out of certain places. So I tend to stay away from that. Like ghost pipe is one that we have a lot of around here, but it's a really fairly endangered plant.
Okay.
So for the most part, like even in spaces where there's tons of it, like they suggest to not.
What is that? What do they use that for? What do you use that for?
I've been told it's for sort of pain that other things can't touch. And it sort of puts it doesn't take it away, but it takes your mind off of it. It sort of like puts it aside. Gotcha. And for banishing ghosts, for trauma, and things like that. I've even heard things like phantom limbs and stuff, pain from phantom limb syndrome, especially because a lot of times there's trauma involved with how a person lost that limb. But there are other herbs and stuff that can do that. It's a nice non-opioid pain reliever. Yeah.
Those are nice. I think there's far too much reliance on opioids and stuff. I don't know.
Too strong. We've really concentrated, we've taken plants and we've concentrated the heck out of their constituents and turned them into things they weren't supposed to be used as in a lot of ways. Yes, opioid addiction is real and you can get addicted even if you're just smoking opium. People did, but making laudanum tincture, for example, that a lot of times the only option, opium tinctures and stuff were the only option that a lot of doctors had for pain relief or to put someone under enough, to be able to do any sort of serious surgical work, you know, before they found out about ether and all that. So.
Yes, and yes. So you find yourself growing a lot of stuff that you need around. Where are you? Do you have a good outlet for seeds or for starts in your area, or again, is it just your network and you?
We have a fantastic place called Companion Plants, and they have just about every medicinal plant I've ever looked for, even some tropicals. So they're just a small greenhouse on, is it Coolville Ridge? And so like on a back road, but it's amazing. My friend Erica from Sovereignty Herbs actually has her office on the property there. But yeah, he's got tons of plant starts. It's been a while since I've bought seed.
I mean, do you know if is that something that's online that people can find?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. And what was the name of that place?
Oh, Companion Plants. They may or may not ship. I'm not sure. That's pretty much for Southeast Ohio locals.
Gotcha.
But I can't, you know, Mountain Rose Herbs does have dried and tincture
I've heard of them.
herbs. And oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank. There was a place years ago my mom got a bunch of medicinal seeds from, and I can't remember the name of it offhand. But if you do a Google search, you should be able to find companies out there. And obviously, you know, try to support small local companies as much as possible. Mountain Rose is huge. There was a bit of contention about how they were sourcing some of their stuff and what type of colonial practices they were supporting, especially in Israel and Palestine. But I think they have since sort of rectified that situation. So as long as they have, I would be okay with supporting them.
So you mentioned your mom. So is this something that's this interest and lessons and stuff, has that been passed down then?
Yeah, it's funny. My mom, she's always been a very healthy person. Like I was eating tofu before I knew anyone else knew what tofu was, you know, and like soy milk, and we would go to the health food store and eat carob and all these things. You know, meanwhile, my dad's like sneaking boxes of Cocoa Puffs into the house and stuff like that. And, but she's always used herbal supplements and vitamins and things as they're very health conscious in that way. And she's taken a lot of courses specifically. I think she's done a master's in herbalism in an online course. But the funny thing,
of those around.
There are, and there is no legal certification to be an herbalist in the US, which is good and bad. You know, there's a lot of different ways you can acquire the knowledge, which is nice. But then there's also no standard. So if someone says I'm a certified herbalist, then you know that they've gotten a certain amount of education or whatnot. So like I'm mostly self-taught. I've taken a lot of classes. I was like one class away from being a certified natural health professional. But then they stopped doing the classes in person years ago. So I wasn't able to finish off. But a lot of it is self-taught, self-read, just being out in the woods and in the fields and learning what plants look like. So my mom knows all these things, but she doesn't really, sometimes she'll grow plants, but she lives in the suburbs of Cleveland and she doesn't exactly trust the soil. So unless she's got raised beds, she probably wouldn't grow things and then use it to make medicine. Whereas, you know, I'm out in the woods in Meigs County where I'm pretty sure everything is pretty darn clean because there hasn't been anyone else on that land since the 70s. So,
Wow.
and so much of it, like I said, so much of it just grows. I don't have to grow yarrow. I don't have to grow elderflowers. I don't have to grow any of the tree herbs. There's tons of ramps and trillium and ginseng and black and blue cohosh and bloodroot and wild ginger and all these other things just in the woods already. So I did get ginseng seed and goldenseal rootlets from United Plant Savers to start what would it be? wild simulated forest gardening. There's a couple different types of forest gardening. And if you're gonna buy those products, make sure they're certified forest grown.
Okay.
Or somehow sustainably harvested, because they are endangered.
Do they ship? Do you know if they ship?
United Plant Savers does.
Okay.
But given that you're not in, like, they wouldn't, I don't know if they would grow by you, you know?
And that's a huge problem with
Mhm.
you know, living here. I can grow some stuff grows like my black raspberries just have taken off like crazy. I don't really know what kind of medicinal use they have, but they sure taste good.
Well, raspberry leaf is fantastic for humans with uteruses. So just toning and helping cramps and just nourishing a uterus is what raspberry is really good for.
My wife would love it, I'm sure.
My mom knows a ton about it, but she doesn't really grow, or she'll buy in the dried herb or this or that. Whereas generally I make medicine out of what I can find and what I have, because it's fresh and the most potent that way.
Yeah. Now, what about arnica? Is arnica grow out by you, or is that more a high mountain?
Have tried and have not been successful yet, but I would love to, because it is amazing for sore muscles. That, and then in combination with St. John's wort oil, because John's wort is it does work really well on nerves and nervous tissue. It's in combination with arnica and a really good CBD oil. It's some of the best pain relief and muscle relaxant and topical.
Yeah, I found there was an herbal shop down in I moved from Kirkland, Washington, out to Boise here, and there was a shop that this herbalist that I love to go down and talk to, and she was super knowledgeable, and so I ended up getting this arnica oil that was actual and arnica infused in oil, right? Not a cream or a pill or anything. And man, I just, again, not giving medical advice, but that stuff like gets rid of bruises. It's sore, like soreness. I always put it on there. I had a knee injury, and that was just rubbing that every day with arnica. It definitely helped. I will vouch for it. That helped. So it's definitely a staple in our house to have some of that around. But I was just wondering if you were able to grow that out there.
I've tried a couple times. No success yet. I think it does like it drier, a little more deserty, high elevation. And while we've got some elevation here, everything, I always say it's a deciduous rainforest here in the summer. Like the humidity is it's intense.
You got some bugs, huh?
We got some humidity. That's for sure. Everything is just so green and verdant and lush and like dripping with moisture sometimes summer. But yeah, it's a give and take. It's worth it.
Yeah, for sure. Sounds like it. Like a little bit of a little paradise.
It is. It's like it's a jungle.
So have you done chickens at all? Do you do chickens?
Yeah, I've got laying hens at my house. And then last Tuesday, I just took my students out to a friend's house she's pregnant at the moment and was not quite able to butcher all 8 of her broiler chickens. So I took my students out there and taught them how to do that.
Nice. Yeah. So I think I've convinced my wife that getting just a couple, we got a really small yard, but I think we could do like, 3 to 5 or whatever. And I think I'm really excited. We have earwigs just like crazy in our yard. And if they're good, let me know. I'm not a fan.
I have not found a good use for earwigs personally. So,
but I'm hoping the chickens like them. So,
yeah, good deal.
Well, cool. It's been awesome to have you on.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you have any laws or homeowners association restrictions on keeping animals?
So luckily we have no homeowners which was awesome. That's what I was specifically looking for, not having one of those. In the city of Boise, we're not allowed to have roosters. As far as I know, that's the only, I mean, you may be limited to a certain amount. I wouldn't want that amount in my house.
No.
Or in my yard. So.
You don't need that.
You ready for some bonus questions?
Okay.
All right. Okay. What is a skill that you'd like to learn but haven't yet?
Electrician stuff and car stuff. Mechanical things.
Mechanical things.
I got the plants and animals down. I need to get a little more into electricity and stuff. It scares me.
Awesome. All right. If you were living in a tribe community, what would you offer?
Oh, like what would my job be?
Well, I mean, like if you, I've kind of left it vague so that it's up to interpretation.
Oh, I would probably be one of the medicine people, bandaging and giving medicine. I'm pretty good at processing a deer. I'd probably be doing a lot of that too, processing food, preserving food.
Awesome. All right. So what key components would you expect other members of the tribe to contribute? Maybe like the top 3.
Hunting is important, obviously. I guess just food in general is important. Another one, storytelling, entertainment is pretty important. Keeping everyone happy so they're not fighting. And, what is another one? And the builders for shelter, for tools, for all that type of stuff.
Awesome. All right. So last one. If the system that we're all dependent on collapses tomorrow, what would be the first thing that you would do?
I'd take the day off work. I pretty much just keep doing what I do, just not come into the office.
Well, that's got to be a great feeling.
It is. I'd plant more food.
Plant more food.
Yeah.
Get it started, right?
Yeah. Like I said, the garden suffered this year because I've been busy with grad school, but I look forward to not next spring because I'll still be in school, but the one after that.
So what's having to work. So we didn't touch on it. Well, what are you studying? What's
Masters of Science in Sustainable Food Systems from Prescott College in Arizona.
Nice. Is that like have you heard of that guy Ben Folk?
What was that?
Have you heard of the guy I think his name is Ben Folk? He is all about architecture and transforming landscapes and
That name does sound awfully familiar.
I think he's in Connecticut, I want to say.
Yeah, I'll look him up though.
Anyway, well, hey, good luck with that. It's great to have you on the show again. Thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us on AquaBrain TV. This is where you subscribe. Check this video out. We think you'll like it.